Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're making bagel pizzas. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make these. There's really not a lot that goes into making a bagel pizza, or if you want to call them a pizza bagel. Either way, this has such a great taste, but you put so little into it to get it, and it's a quick alternative to getting a frozen pizza or something else like that, because if you have some bagels, you can easily just turn them into this with no effort whatsoever, and probably in less than 10 minutes you can have this done and be ready for lunch if you wanted this, or even for a snack or whatever. The best thing about this though is I'm going to give you two ways to do it: a regular oven or an air fryer. So we're just going to do both as we go along, and I'll just give you the directions for both as we're doing this, because a lot of people use their air fryers more than their ovens, especially if it's like warmer temperatures. You don't really want to turn an oven on. So we're just going to work with what we got here. And one thing about this is you can change the toppings on this pizza. I'm using pepperoni, but you could use whatever you want to on it. So we're going to start out with two bagels. And basically what you're going to do is cut them through the center, so that way you have two halves for each one. So that basically means that, you know, if you're serving two people, each of them can have two of these or whatever if they want it. So it's really not that hard to do. So we're going to take some softened butter and we're going to spread over the top of these. And I have about like maybe 4 tablespoons here. We just need to soften it a little bit in the microwave so that way it's really spreadable. And just coat the top of it with a decent coating of this, because what we're going to do with the bagels is we're going to run them through underneath of, like, basically the air fryer is going to be on for a few, or we're going to put them into the oven under the broiler for a couple minutes and just basically brown off the top of these, so that way they're basically going to be a little crunchy before we put any toppings on, because that's going to stop a lot of like pizza sauce, or if you're making your own sauce like I'm going to do, from sogging up the top of it, or like actually soaking into the bottom to where it really becomes a mess. So once you get that butter on, we're going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil over top of this, and we're going to spread this out in a second. We're not putting a lot on there. It's just enough to give it flavor, but also to help the top of this kind of crisp up a little bit when it cooks. So just spread this around if you have a butter knife or whatever, and just get it all smeared around to everything is mixing together. So you got your butter, your olive oil on top of there, and then we're going to add some Italian seasoning and some garlic powder to this. And we're basically, in the bowl I have about a half a teaspoon of each, and I'm just pinching this off and like putting it around there, just a pinch of each over top of each one of these, just to give it flavor. We're not trying to add a ton of this to it. We just want it to look like we put some on top, so really not a lot of it. And then we're going to put these and to do our deal. So if you're putting it in an air fryer, you're going to put it in there probably at 400 degrees for just about a couple minutes to actually brown it. And if you're doing it in an oven, just put it under your broiler, basically 450 degrees, 425, for just a couple of minutes to actually brown it to the point where it's crunchy. That's all we want to get out of this. Now, I'm taking some actual tomato sauce here that I'm going to add to, which I am adding a half a teaspoon of sugar to this to make it more of a marinara. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the Italian seasoning and the garlic powder that we had left over from doing the thing before with putting it on top of the bagels. So a couple pinches of each in here, all you need. You're just trying to flavor this up, and then we're going to mix it. Now if you have pizza sauce, you can use it. Go for it. If that's what you want to use on here, I just wanted to make this kind of a different sauce, and this is why I'm using my little version of a marinara here. So after it's all mixed up, we're going to come over to our bagels that are out of the oven or the air fryer, and we're going to coat the top with sauce. So we just want to make a good even coating. Now, some people like more sauce than others. If you don't want a lot of sauce on this, you don't have to do it. It's all up to you as to how much you put on top of there. So if you just put a little smear of it on there, you're good to go. But if you want a bunch of it, go for it. At this point, the top of this is crispy enough to where it can hold the sauce without soaking it up and becoming that hot mess we talked about earlier. So go ahead and smear this over top of it and get a good even coating so it goes out to the edges pretty much. You don't want to go in all the way over the edge, because then it might just ooze down and then you might have the mess. So go ahead and get this on there. Now, as far as the sauce is concerned, I only had like, you know, less than half a cup of the sauce here to use. So really you don't need a lot to do this. But just make sure you get a good even coating on top of these. And then after that, we're going to add some Parmesan cheese. Now, I probably have 4 tablespoons worth of Parmesan here. So basically it's going to be like about a tablespoon per each of these. Just enough to give it a good coating over top of it, because what we're doing here is giving it flavor. We're layering flavor on top of these. That's a good thing when you layer stuff like this, because you can add so many different things to what you're making to make it taste really good. And the Parmesan definitely gives it a taste, because you're not depending on just mozzarella to give your flavor to your pizzas here. So go ahead, use up all the Parmesan that we have here. And once we're done with that, we're going to start with the mozzarella. Now, with my mozzarella, I might have about a half cup, and that's really all you need to get a good coating on top of these, because, you know, depending on how big your bagel is when you use it, that's how much of this is you're going to need. Because if you have like a medium-sized bagel like I have, about a half of a cup of mozzarella is plenty to cover all of these. Now, if you have a larger bagel, you can add more cheese to it. That's no big deal. Now, as we're doing this, you need to remember, though, that when you use a bagel, sometimes some bagels taste better than others. So use one that, if you've eaten bagel before, that you like the bagel and its taste, for the fact that sometimes you can get these from the grocery store and they're not so well made. So just remember that as you are actually getting your bagels, pick something that looks like it was baked well. So at least that way it'll taste good when you put all of the stuff on top of it and take the effort to make this. So I'm putting pepperoni on top of these. You do not have to. You can put whatever you want on top of yours. You could easily just anything from mushrooms to, you know, if you had some kind of meat that you like or whatever, or black olives or whatever you choose to put on there, any kind of vegetable, just put it on, and then they're going to be stacked up like this and ready to go into the oven. So if you're doing an air fryer, it's 400 degrees for 3 to 5 minutes, so that way we melt the cheese, or a regular oven, 425 for 8 to 10 minutes. And that way, the whole thing you're trying to do right here is make sure that you melt the cheese and you cook the pepperoni, and when they come back, they look a lot like this. And this is the good thing about it. Like, you can actually be kind of like flexible on how you cook this. If you want to do it in the air fryer, you're going to get it done a little bit faster, or you can just do it in a regular oven and they still turn out looking wonderful. So, you know, I did mine in an air fryer. So the best thing about that was it was just an easy process, and it definitely crisps up the bread so that way you don't have a mess, but it also cooks them really well. But a conventional oven does such a wonderful job. And this is what it looks like when you get it done, and this is such a great thing for lunch, and it's done in less than 10 minutes. So it is a wonderful meal. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.